Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello.
How's it going?
Doing all right.
Doing all
Been busy.
right.
Been busy with. I saw Premiere open. I'm looking at my timeline now. It's filling in. I'm probably through most of the most difficult parts of the Switchers episode.
Mhm.
But whew, it's not the most pleasant thing in the world. I'll looking at this view right here, you would suspect nothing was wrong. But if I just take my webcam over here, and you can see I've got my systems out of place. I've got wires all over the floor, a bunch of different switchers, and it is one of the more painful episodes to make, I think. But I'm glad that it's going to be over with, and it's actually good timing because I've been planning to rearrange my setup anyway. So it's not so bad that I'm uprooting all my wires and systems and stuff. So I'll it'll all work out in the end. But right now it's just like I want this to be over.
Yeah. Really quick, we're joined by Kurt from HardcoreGaming101. Are you the creator of the site, the original?
Yes. Yep.
When you thought of the name HardcoreGaming101, it's such a perfect name for a website.
Really, I've always been kind of embarrassed about it. Like
Really?
even when I started it up, like I gave it kind of like a really goofy word art logo because it was kind of like it comes off a little bit pretentious, I think, but it was supposed to be kind of tongue in cheek too.
Right. It definitely makes sense because it's like it sort of takes you through sort of the series that most people maybe haven't even heard of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And every time I hear, I hear a little bit about, like Valis, what's that? Well, let me look up the article on Hardcore Gaming 101. I don't even need to guess. Is there an article about this series that I haven't really heard that much about? Is there an article on Hardcore Gaming 101 that takes me through the whole series and everything I need to know? I don't even need to ask. It's just there. I just search for it. It's there. And that's what I love about it. The most recent article that I found really useful was a few months ago. I'm just now starting to get into PC Engine stuff. And
Oh yeah.
That's.
I went through a phase of that a couple years ago.
That's a rabbit hole, an expensive one, which is why PC Engine, not TurboGrafx, because it's less expensive.
Yeah.
But I was looking on eBay at this bundle auction that had the Japanese version of Bonk 1 and Legend of the Valkyrie, both of which were games I wanted. But there was also this third game that I hadn't heard of, that it had a number 2 on it, and I tried to figure out what is this, and I don't even know how you pronounce this, but it's like Shabubin Man.
Oh yeah, that was Shockman.
Shockman in the U.S. It was the only one. The second game was the only one that came out here is Shockman. Yeah. But then there was there were 4 games, and so I've looked it up and I'm like, this, I read the article. I'm like, this sounds pretty interesting. So I was like, it was a good deal just for Bonk and Legend of the Valkyrie. So I'm like, okay, well, this third game sounds like something I might like too. So, So
did you like it? You played through. You finished it, right?
No, I played through Bonk, but Voltar's got my PC Engine for RGB modding right now. So I just tested Shabubin Man.
Shabubin Man.
She I don't even know how to say it. Shibibi Man, something. I don't know.
But it's actually, I don't know if you were thinking about this when you chose the game tonight, Coury, but by far, without a doubt, my most referenced Hardcore Gaming 101 article is the Goemon article, because I've been a fan of the series since I started with the 3D platform, or the first one that came to N64. And then, got Goemon's Great Adventure after that. And then I went back and played the Super Nintendo one, this one where you're going to be playing tonight. But, I mean, the depth of that game's just how many entries in the series there are only in Japan is absolutely staggering. And it was actually like the first games that I really I had like a copy of Final Fantasy V that at the time was kind of just a novelty for me to have, but I never really played it in my Super Nintendo. When I started importing the Super Famicom Goemon games, that was like the first time that I was like importing games to actually play the imports and really got into it, importing games. And so I was just going back and forth to that article constantly, like, okay, which ones do I want to get? I want to avoid the RPGs because there's no translation patches for them. And so I finally, I think, pretty much got all the Goemon games that I'm interested in. But yeah, it's been a great reference.
Oh yeah, thanks. I love I started off with the Super Nintendo game. I didn't get a Super Nintendo until late, like after I got a PlayStation, I think, or around the same year, like 97 or so, because I was a Genesis kid, and then I had a computer in the mid 90s, so I was more like Doom and Command and Conquer that for a while. But we got a Super Nintendo at Funcoland for cheap, and it was a good time to get into it because every place was selling all the games for like $10. So I got into Mystical Ninja, and then when I started getting importing games, the first one I got was Pop and Twinbee, I think, and then I started getting all the RPGs or all the Super Famicom games, which was a little tough because at the time I understood absolutely no Japanese.
But still, you're thinking about, Square has such a big presence on the system in Japan. So I mean, you'd play their games here and be like, oh, I just want to have it.
Yeah, at the time it was like there was no guides and anything. I didn't know what any of them were. And they were expensive too, because like eBay was first starting to come around there. I mean, I'm sure I probably paid like $60 or $70 for these. So I still have them like in box, and some of them ended up being like kind of duds. Like Goemon 3 is it's definitely like an RPG, so it's hard to play.
The Super Famicom one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend who understands Japanese help me through that one. I mean, it was a fine game, but yeah, it's not something. It's very much the template for the N64, the first N64 game.
Oh yeah.
The structure of the games is almost identical, but the problem is, yeah, you need to know where to go. And I was surprised how much the fourth Super Famicom one, how much it really kind of had that side questy, you got to fulfill these requirements, that you got to get something that some character wants. And I was just like, oh man, I just want to run and jump, I mean, like the second one on Super Famicom is easily the most import friendly. And in my opinion, I think the most fun of the Super Famicom entries.
Like, I think the fourth one is overall the best, but at the same time, yeah, like getting past any of those towns and all the different fetch quests you had to do. Like, I haven't actually played it through in like probably since the late 90s, like all the way. But
yeah, the other thing about the fourth one is that literally every single boss, including the final boss, is a mini game.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a weird thing. But I like the fourth one, but I definitely think the second one is just really fun. And I also think it's like one of the best things about the Goemon games is just how goofy and off the wall they are. And I think that one definitely just has the goofiest presentation overall, because it's like this army invading from America, invading Japan, and they are all the generals wear these bunny suits, and it's so stupid. You're in these like robot battles, and you see their face appear on the screen, and they've got this bunny suit. It's just so stupid, but I love it.
I know, and it was great because it seemed like so few, especially Super Nintendo games, had that sort of like comedy about them, like a good sense of humor.
Right. I would say really it didn't. I mean, you've got stuff like Earthbound, but for the most part, that kind of stuff was, mostly relegated to a select few RPGs, I would say. I mean, yeah, there was some comedy, but I feel like games didn't push for experimenting to be a little funnier until, maybe the N64, PS1 era, where story-heavy stuff kind of came more to the forefront.
Yeah, well, even like back in the early '90s, that was when they were still playing with the idea of a main character like having a defined personality. Like the fact that Sonic the Hedgehog would like sit and tap his foot and stare at you if you didn't do anything, like that was a big deal. Yeah. So then you had these Mystical Ninja games would just go completely bonkers. Especially the Famicom had 2 RPGs, the Gaiden games, which made them more story focused, and they sort of carried that over to the later games a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and start. I mean, there's a lot of people saying like, I've never seen the cutscene of this game with 2 people just talking. So I mean, I have this game. I've never really played very far into it. I rented it when it came out. Maybe it obviously wasn't when it came out because it came out before I had a Super Nintendo. But I mean, shortly after I got a Super Nintendo, this is one that I rented. We'll see how I do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It gets hard, but it's not that bad. Also, thank you, the importer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he says in his comment there, we hit it happened very suddenly. I still can't believe it, but we hit $1,000 a month on Patreon.
Which is insane.
Crazy.
Nice.
It's really insane.
Really quick, I saw some people talking earlier about the Saturn episode. The Saturn isn't going to be our next episode. It's going to be our next RGB 200s episode. So our schedule is Try's working on a episode about switchers right now, like SCART and component switchers. And then we have a secret episode that's coming from me that we are not at liberty to talk about publicly.
We might be able to talk about it before it releases,
yes.
But we don't know.
We definitely will. We might be able to talk about it this week. I think that he's trying to get it so it's announced this week.
Okay.
And then after that, after I finish with that episode, I'm going to go directly into the Saturn episode.
Mm-hmm.
So Saturn will probably be sometime in May at the earliest.
Yeah, sometime in May, probably.
Yeah. And then you're going to do your next 200 is going to be PS2.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably going to be July is my current thinking. But you know how these things go.
Yeah.
I'm thinking July. I think I've kind of got my next 2 planned. I don't want to say what they are yet, though.
Yeah, I mean, we have several things planned, but it's pretty funny because we reached that. The $1,000 on Patreon was a goal for us, to say we'll do more mini documentaries. So it's kind of good timing that.
Right, because we already kind of got one in the works.
The secret episode is a mini doc that nobody is expecting, and I think that people will be pleasantly surprised. I gotta stop hitting the women losing $100 every time.
But yeah, so we kind of got a little ahead. We were kind of coming up toward $1,000. We were in the 900s when we decided to take a trip, and so we were technically under our goal where we said we're going to do more documentary type stuff, but we really kind of couldn't have done this one at any other time.
Yes, it is a hugely awesome opportunity.
Yeah, and so
really just kind of fell on our lap.
Yeah, so we were like, we can't say no to this. We're not making quite as much on Patreon as our goal, but we're still going to invest some money into this because it's going to be super awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I just finished the credit sequence for it yesterday.
Yeah, that was great.
I'm excited. It was kind of the same way with Limited Run, where I made this credit sequence kind of before I even had the script written.
Kind of gets you hyped up.
Well, it gets you hyped up, and it also kind of gets you in a mindset for this is the kind of style that I want to go for throughout this thing. So it kind of informs the writing of it, I think.
Right. It sort of also reinforces, I think, to you, like, this is special. This is different.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's what I think is kind of fun about it is that our documentary stuff. It's outside of the realm of like a normal episode for us, so we can kind of do a special intro that's like slightly longer in its own style.
Are we calling this one a mini doc, or are we calling it a showcase?
I think that it's going to end up being a mini doc.
Okay.
I mean, as much as we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to end up being a mini doc. I wasn't sure about it until I cut the interview, and I feel like that kind of fits into a documentary kind of style. I mean, it's we have interviews with 3 different people.
Yeah. And it's just going to be you in the episode in terms of us, because
right, and I'm going to be my presence is going to be very light.
Yes.
You could if you like run into the girls. If you run, you'll save them and get some. Yeah, see.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Here I was like trying to avoid them. I'm just like
if you go like up and then to the right, it takes you to the first level. Like there's nothing really you need to do in here unless you wanted to buy like some armor and stuff.
Yeah, like these sections are pretty much just you kill enemies to get some gold, and then you can get like armor, or the little shoes make you run faster. Or like the pizza
but you
stuff
lose them
just
if you
health.
die, right?
Yeah, well they get used up automatically. Like every time you get hit, you get like your equipment gets downgraded.
Right. So it's basically like a free hit rather than
Yeah, but that could come in handy.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely what like the first level here isn't too hard, but later on like you definitely need those extra hits.
Yeah. Most levels, like the overhead area, is kind of just for powering up. I mean, there's not like the main gameplay is the 2D stuff. Except I want to say it's level 3 maybe that's all overhead.
Yeah, that's the really short one, isn't it?
It's like the fairgrounds or something, I think, if I'm remembering right.
The fairgrounds are just actually, is there I don't think there's a side-scrolling level with that one.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's been probably like 9 or 10 years ago that I played through this game. I've only played through the entire game once.
Yeah. I played through this a month or 2 ago, and I forget how far I got. It's a level with a waterfall.
Oh yeah, that one. That I think that's where it starts to get pretty tricky.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. What wasn't the boss like a bear or something there?
I remember. I think it had like 1 or 2 forms, and since I had got killed and I had to restart the level with no health or anything, then I just did get it. I took a picture of my password and just tweeted it out. Like, if anybody wants to continue my game, go for it.
Yeah, this is not one of my favorite Goemon games, but I mean, it's one of the very precious few that we did get an American release for.
Yeah, I like that they actually tried to introduce the Goemon series with this entry, and outside of like changing the name of the main characters and like. They kept most of the Japanese stuff, other than like they changed whatever the food item was into pizza. But other than that, like
what did the scrolls
kept
do?
Everything. Okay, I never knew this for a long time because it's a little obscure. But they're for these special judo attacks. But you can't use the special attacks until you get taught them. So you need to find a special place in one of the stages and then pay a certain amount of money. And then they'll teach it to you. But
not on this first stage, right?
I actually did not know that for a long, long time. So you'd end up getting all these scrolls and then I had no idea what to do with them. But this game is kind of like that. Like, there's so much optional stuff in this game. Like, on almost every level, you can just like go to the side-scrolling section and then just try to beat it, and then the game will just let you go on. But the real meat of the game is like how open-ended it is and how much just different goofy stuff that you can screw around. And I think that was the real appeal of this, because that was something that they started with like the second Goemon game. Because the first one it's kind of long and repetitive, and the second one is sort of built on the same template, but they just had levels where they have like first-person mazes and like bathhouses and just all sorts of weird stuff that you can do. And this one they build on that by putting in mini games, and a lot of it is just like ways to get more money than just grinding.
Right.
You know what I think about this a lot. You know, with older games, I think that people have a mindset now that they can like kind of blow through it, and I think that I've had to retrain myself over time to just kind of take my time through each level.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't hit her directly. You have to hit the things back at her.
Oh, I see.
Those little frisbees or whatever.
I died anyways. Is that my last life? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can go back to the elephant. That is like the midway point.
I see. And it had a 1 next to it, so does that mean I can only continue from it once?
No, that just means it's like the first elephant. It's like in later levels when there's more than one checkpoint, you can just choose which checkpoint to go back to.
I see. Is there unlimited continues?
Yeah. But like I was mentioning earlier, you end up getting stripped of all your items and money. So unless you got like you get a password not from when you continue, I think, but if you visit a certain store or a certain person. So if you re-input the password, then you'll end up with all your items. Because there's long passwords in this game. Like, they keep track of more than just your level, but, like, all your items and gold and stuff.
Man, it's there we go.
Yeah, it's a little tricky for a first boss.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I got a game over. And then from the end of the previous journey is where I can continue from.
Yeah.
Okay, so that starts me from...
Basically just restarting the game. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can just go straight there now that you know where it is, basically.
Yeah. How many times... So I got to continue from the... You only do it with when you lose a life. So, okay,
Yeah.
so when you run out of lives, then you start to level over. Okay. Got it. I just got to get a feel for it.
Yeah, it's it's definitely a game that takes a little time to settle into.
Yeah. Oh. Well, it's all right though. So the switcher's
like,
up. Oh, go ahead.
Up there, that little area, like you can't enter it now, but when you come back, if you clear the level of ghosts, that's like a maze that you can explore. And that was a little picture of Konami Man who was there, kind of mascot that he had appeared. He had his own game.
Yeah, YY World.
Yeah, he was also in Goonies too. I mean, I'm sure that he popped up in other places. That was only in Japanese media, but.
Yeah, I thought for a long time that Konami Man was the characters in YY World 2. But I forget what they are, but those are not Konami Man.
Yeah, that's just his name is like Rikaru. Well, at least the red one. They just made him up for the game, I think.
Yeah. So I was like, oh wait, Konami Man looks a lot lamer than the random characters in YY World 2. Yeah, I've not played YY World.
I knew that was going to be
only 2.
Oh, the second one is much better than the first one.
Yeah, it's. But so some friends of mine played the first, and they said that it was very.
You actually move faster if you crawl. I think you actually move it's faster than running.
That's one of the fun things about the series is that they have really goofy crawling animations.
Oh yeah, especially the other guy, Ebisumaru.
I don't remember what he does in this game, but I remember in in the first N64 game at least, I forget about Great Adventure, but he crawls on gets on his back and inches along.
Yeah.
Great Adventure is really freaking hard. I beat that game back when it first came out, and I did not remember it being that hard.
Is that the 64 one?
That's the 64 platformer. The or the 2D platformer. The first one on N64 is more of a Mario 64 type of perspective. And it's pretty easy, but Great Adventure, I feel like back in those days, I think I'd kind of gone a little soft, and I was not acclimated anymore to the NES level of difficulty. And I feel like I would remember that game being that hard because I beat it when it came out, and I was probably 16 or something when it came out probably, and I beat it. But then I revisited it because I wanted to get 100% in it. I did that probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, maybe. And it was really hard. It just gets brutal. I mean, great game, but it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take very many hits, I think, right? Like 3 hits by normal?
Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, I think is not too uncommon in the Goemon games, but it's brutal. Like the levels are just really tough. It's a good game though.
Yeah. The thing I remember about that being a little weird is like the 2.5D games are always like something slightly off about it. And it always felt like the jumping was like a little bit too quick. Like they had too much gravity.
I could see what you mean by that.
I did it.
All right.
Yeah.
The Ninja Cat Kurobe?
Yeah.
Yeah, he appears in some of the games. Never as a major player, but...
Yeah, this game has like a lot of the other characters that were introduced into the later games. They're just in like these sort of storyline roles.
Yeah.
$100.
Like, isn't Yae in this one, except she's got blue hair?
Yeah, that's before she was really like a character. But yeah, she's in this.
I don't think Sasuke is in this.
He is, but he's just kind of like a like the Clockwork Ninjas. Like I don't know if it's specifically him.
Oh, isn't there like a boss fight where you fight him in this, or is that the second game?
No, it's this one. It's like
where he's like on like a kite.
Yeah, it's those guys. I love that level because there's like the little. I think it's them. They're like running and then they trip and then they spill their tea and then if the tea hits you, you get hurt.
Yeah, this is starting to sound familiar now. Yeah.
So is this just restore my energy? Is it even
Yeah.
worth it? It doesn't matter.
You just need. What you need to do now is find the travel agency. When you were playing through before, I think you found it. They said that they were closed. Do you want to play any games?
There in Great Adventure, I know that the restaurants have like each restaurant has like one item that gives you an extra life, but it doesn't advertise that it does that. And at least I think it was Great Adventure that did that. And so now I'm like always wondering like if in the other games they're like if they have that. I haven't played through any of them yet, but I did get all 4 PlayStation games, which is going to be interesting, especially for some of the early ones, because I mean I'm just gonna have to use a guide because I mean I don't know any Japanese. I think the first one is probably going to be the trickiest because that one appears to be fairly similar to the Super Famicom 3. Just at a glance. The second one, I know the HardcoreGaming101 article. I don't know if you wrote that article.
Yeah.
Okay,
it was a joint effort between one of the other editors, but yeah, I had written like the core of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that game is terrible.
Yeah, I remember, but it's so fascinating because it's 480i, and I forget if it might also be 60 frames. I forget.
It is. It's like from a technical perspective,
it's really surreal. Like it's just.
But it's like it's falling apart at its seams. There's so many gaps in between the polygons. Like I don't know how it got released in that state.
It's interesting though. Like I've not done anything more in it other than just like run around the.
Are you talking about? Is it the PS2 one? Or no?
No. PS. It's the second game on PS1. It's 480i and 60 frames. It's kind of unusual from a technical perspective. The PS2 game does look pretty bad. I've never played it, but it does look pretty bad.
It was a launch window, I think, PS2 game, and it definitely looks it. And it was still at the time where they hadn't quite gotten the hang of camera control. I don't know, like I found it a lot more awkward to play than the N64 game.
I mean, the N64 game was my introduction to the series, and I'm a bit of an N64 fan anyway, so that that one's pretty easy for me to accept.
Between that Castlevania were the reasons I bought my Nintendo 64. I
Oh,
like Mario, Zelda, who cares? Mystical Ninja and Castlevania.
Well,
That's where it's at.
I mean, it's interesting to hear you say Castlevania because not many people like the Castlevania games on N64, but I think they're pretty good.
I didn't really like it, but I had a Castlevania website, so I need to play it.
I have your Castlevania book.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's an interesting game because it, in some ways, like the action, the platforming is sort of a similar sort of challenge to the earlier Castlevania games, and it's really the only 3D Castlevania game that tried to truly be a platformer. Now, whether people think it succeeded at that or not, but it's an interesting game. I kind of like them.
It has like highs and lows because it starts off very badly. Like the first level is just really boring. Oh, sorry, but some of the other platforming levels it starts to get like pretty all right. Like it has its own issues with just as being a Nintendo 64 game, the slowdown and kind of sketchy controls, but overall it's not that bad.
Oh man, there's someone in the chat saying never played a Castlevania. Where to start? That's a question that pops up everywhere all the time, and that's just
really
such a hard. Oh yeah, I mean, I people have asked me that a bunch of times. I see that question come up all the time, and that's just like such a hard thing to answer because it really kind of boils down to, are you into very difficult platformers that are going to kill you a lot, or are you into a Metroid game except with like stats and leveling up and stuff?
I was supposed to say Dracula X for PC Engine and Symphony of the Night are the two best entry points because those are like the two defining, in my opinion, of the two main branches of the series.
Yeah, I could understand that.
I mean,
and they're directly connected too, which is nice.
Yeah. Rondo was kind of, I almost see it as like the swan song of the original style.
Yeah.
It was kind of the point where it was I arguably perfected. Of course, that one can be a difficult entry point if you're trying to play on real hardware, but it is available on Virtual Console if nothing else. I
like the PSP one. It definitely has its issues, but as far as the remake goes,
it's not bad. Yeah,
like
it's not bad.
It's kind of ugly in the same way that a lot of other PSP games were, and it's like stuck at 30 frames a second, and but they fleshed out a lot of other stuff from that game. Like they added some texture to the backgrounds. There was one level that was never finished, but they kind of included as a bonus in the PC Engine level, a PC Engine game, that they kind of made a real level in the PSP version.
Yeah, I played through it, but I don't remember specifically the difference.
The best thing about though is like the Dracula battle in the game is just really easy for some reason. And in the PSP one, they added like a whole other form that actually makes the fight like reasonably difficult.
Really? I haven't finished the PSP version.
Yeah, I played both versions, but I don't remember that specifically. I think though that when I'm recommending like a starting point for like the old style Castlevania, I think I tend toward recommending Castlevania 4. It's not as brutal as the NES games, but it's it's kind of weird. Like it's a very early Super Nintendo game, and I think it is almost more ambitious than it should be for such an early game. Like they're trying to play around with the rotation effects and all kinds of crazy stuff. But yeah, at the same time, like even though it's got a lot of slowdown, it mostly succeeds in its ambitions.
Yeah, it's like for a launch era game, like it's actually extremely well done.
Yeah, it's got, I mean, like the music is like very unique for that era of gaming because it's so atmospheric, and not a lot of games really tried atmosphere at that time.
Yeah.
If I learn the jujitsu in a zone, do I keep it even if I continue?
I want to say yes, but I'm not entirely sure.
Because if I'm gonna grind for the money,
because that's a lot of money. That's why I never got them. Because it's a lot of money to get for that stuff. But then you actually put all those scrolls that you get to some kind of use.
Well, there's 2 packages. Let's see. My train. Let's see. I thought I wanted to do it. It gave me an option to get it before.
Oh wait, your health isn't high enough. You need to restore your health, because it actually takes away some of your health when you do it.
Oh,
so if you have below the amount that would get you killed, he doesn't let you do it.
Jeez. Well.
Yeah, see, that's kind of like a core aspect of the game. You think they could just hide it behind all this kind of troublesome stuff.
These guys are.
Oh, those guys are such assholes.
Maybe it's easier if I just throw money at them.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
It'll save me.
Well,
I died. Oh.
Something.
Oh, God. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'm still thinking about Castlevania. Something I heard not long ago, and I'm not entirely sure if this is true, because I actually only just got the Japanese version of Castlevania 3 a couple months ago. In large, I mean, I'd wanted that version for a long time, but in part, just so I would have like a cartridge audio game to test out for when we need it for certain episodes on the show, but something I didn't know about it, and like I say, I'm still not 100% sure this is true, but I heard that it is easier than the American version. Do you know if that's correct?
It is definitely correct. Because Castlevania 3, the amount of damage enemies do is entirely determined by the level you're on.
Right, that's what I thought, because by the final level, every enemy, even a bat, does I think it's 4 damage. Like you can take, I think, 3 or 4 hits in the last level. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So they don't pull that crap in the Japanese version.
Yeah, it's all dependent on what enemy they are, and there are a couple of other tweaks too. Like Grant always has a throwing dagger instead of the short stabby dagger, which is generally more useful. But at the same time, the short stabby dagger could be kind of good if you could get in close quarters and just stab, and then run away.
Yeah, I really, once I get some free time, I should really play through it, because I feel like Castlevania.
How do I use the jujitsu really quick? Sorry, I don't mean that.
I think it's X. I think it's one of the buttons on the controller.
Can you only use it in side-scrolling levels?
I don't know.
Because it's not doing anything right now. Then again, I only got the $400 one. I didn't get the $800 one.
Is it a limited use?
They're powered by the amount of scrolls you have, so. I mean, you've been collecting them pretty faithfully.
Yeah, I mean, they drop all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to say, I feel like if Castlevania 3 weren't as brutal as it is, that last level is just unfair just with how much damage everything does.
Oh man, and I remember I beat it when I was a kid, but I remember it was one night where my parents were out and my babysitter was over, and the whole night she was just watching TV.
Yeah.
Without
interruption.
You could curse at the television, yeah.
But I kind of feel like if Castlevania 3 were not as difficult as it was, I feel like it would be my favorite.
It's a very intimidating game, I found it, because it's very long also.
Yeah, it's long,
Super Castlevania 4 is long, but it's also quite a bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to playing through the Famicom version.
It's definitely easier going.
It just sounds so awesome on with the real cartridge audio.
Yeah, it really does. And it's a shame that not many other games use it.
Yeah.
The other ones are RPGs. There's Esper Dream 2, which is actually really good. If you've never played it before, there's a fan translation out for it. And the other one is
that a Konami game?
Yeah, they're all Konami games.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's some other companies that created sound chips. There's a couple of Namco games that use them.
Right.
like Rolling Thunder, which is not really that impressive, but Megami Tensei 2 uses a Namco sound chip, which is really good.
It's a different version of Rolling Thunder than we got here too, than the Tengen one.
No, that one is the same except for the sound chip.
Okay.
There are a few others like Gimmick. You know,
I think is that
the one and only Sunsoft chip game?
Yeah, this is the only one that has an extra sound chip with it.
Yeah, I know there's something I'm curious about now is I don't know if it's really considered good, but I've been kind of curious, especially because I know it has a fan translation now. I've been curious about Lagrange Point.
That is a cool game. I mean, it's if you like Phantasy Star, then you'll probably like Lagrange Point.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've been curious because I've not really heard anything about it, and for some reason, I just had it in my head that was like one of those super expensive games, and then like it's not. It's like $35. Like I think people just kind of put it up on a pedestal because it's the one VRC7 game.
It sounds really cool. Because there's like absolutely nothing else in the system that sounds like it.
Yeah, I might get into that.
I mean, it's still very much like an 8-bit RPG, like just the concept random battle stuff, but it's very well done.
I love random. I'm totally cool with random battles. Like, you know, there's a lot of people who are like, random battles are objectively bad and should never be in any game ever, and I'm like, it's fine.
For me, it kind of depends. Like I've been playing Dragon Quest VI on the DS, and like I really like the DS and the 3DS remakes of those games because they make them just so much faster. And
I kind of like the NES engine better. Like it might just be because I didn't like Dragon Quest VII very much.
I don't blame you about Dragon Quest VII. That game is like, so long.
Yeah, it's like if that game were about a fourth of the length, it would be pretty good. But it's like the problem is it's like I feel like at that point they were just like, man, anything we make will sell. We can just do anything we want. It's like whatever. And so they just like made this like ridiculously bloated game, and like it was just like, you know, the first
and it sold like crazy in Japan.
Sure it did.
Isn't it like the best-selling game in the series?
Is it?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
See,
in Japan,
like the way I always rationalize that is, when was Dragon Quest VI released? Like 95 or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then Dragon Quest VII was 99, 2000. Like it took a long time for that game to come out. And at that time there were 3 PS1 Final Fantasy games. At that point, I think they were just like, okay, this game was taking too long. We'll make this game like the one Dragon Quest for the generation, and it'll be as long as 3 Final Fantasy games.
And it was.
And of course, when it came out over here, like we never had the nostalgia for the series. Like at the time, like I had only everybody had Nintendo Power as a kid, had played the first Dragon Warrior, which I didn't really like that much because I thought it was much worse than Final Fantasy.
Honestly, I never knew anybody that actually played through the Dragon Warrior that they were sent.
Really?
Yeah.
I am not that big of a fan of the first one, but I really like the NES versions of 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, like I don't. This is just something about like the stodginess of.
The thing with one. I mean, the thing that gets me with one is I respect one. Like, I like what one was going for. I like how open it feels, but at the same time, there wasn't that much to the actual main quest. It was just kind of, okay, kill a bunch of monsters until you've got enough money to buy this armor you want, so you can go to the next town and then find another piece of armor you want.
Yeah.
It's basically the whole game. But I feel like there's much more substance to the other ones on NES that I really enjoy. But I have a great respect for Dragon Quest 1, but it is, it's not a game that I like to just pick up and play. I'm interested in playing the Super Famicom version. I'm curious how that will feel.
tried the mobile ones because at least I got Dragon Quest 3 a little while ago, and that's actually based off the Super Famicom version of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that it's much better. I mean, that's like roughly around Dragon Quest 6. That sort of sprite work and sound and stuff like that.
I really like how the Super Famicom version of 3 looks. Like I haven't played through it yet, but it's like the battle backgrounds in particular are like awesome in that.
Yeah. That's one thing that disappoints me about the DS version of Dragon Quest 6 though, is that they did it in the same style as like 7 and 4 and 5, which like, I didn't really find that attractive. Whereas like Dragon Quest 6 and the Super Famicom, like it looks good and the sound is excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, but I think again with like the DS remakes, like I loved playing through those games, but at the same time, like I feel like I would have liked them even more if it wasn't using the Dragon Quest 7 engine, just because I feel this like bias against Dragon Quest 7.
Yeah,
but like I loved 4, and I have not played through all of the NES version of 4 yet. I want to. I've got it, but the NES versions are my only experience with 2 and 3 so far. But I really liked playing those. I liked playing them on the NES. But actually, I liked 4 the best of the DS games. Like I think when you get to the end of that and like the final boss in that is just like, I think it's maybe the coolest final boss in all of RPGs.
So that level, I finished that level. There was like no side-scrolling level at all to it.
But there was the side-scrolling boss.
Right.
Yeah,
And this is the amusement park. This is the level you can play Gradius.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
There's like a gigantic TV. There's like the biggest CRT ever made.
And is it like a full-fledged game in there?
It's just the first level.
Oh, that's cool.
But they did that a whole lot. Like the second, the Super Famicom game has a playable level of Zex, which at the time was really incredible because it had never gotten a home port, and it was the only way to like ever see anything about that game until Mayman had gotten it emulated. Yeah,
I always thought it was. I always think of the Game Sack episode where they're talking about. They say Zezix. No, I thought it was Xizgziz. But so that's like 3 different ways I've heard to say it.
Well, like in Japanese, you always know how it's pronounced. Like there's no ambiguity. So that definitely helps.
So it's not Xizgziz.
Yeah, it's definitely Zexx.
Okay, well that's good. I thought for sure it was going to be Zezix because that just sounds more. I mean.
It does sound like more super outer spacey.
Yeah.
Zezix.
I mean, I always thought it was Zexies.
Yeah. Oh, that's the that one other Nintendo game, the one that has a completely different name in Japan, where it's like your futuristic Taro Urashima, or something weird like that.
Oh no. No,
It's spelled XEXYZ. It's put up by Hudson.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking.
And like it's
that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Zezix.
Oh, okay. This is the Konami Shooters XX.
Okay. Oh. Okay. I got confused too. Now I know. Now I know you're talking.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I thought you were talking about the Hudson game for some reason. I was like, well, maybe that wasn't.
Oh, have you ever played the Konami shooter XX?
I haven't, but I know what it is.
Oh, you gotta fire up MAME at some point because it's just a visual feast. Like I can't believe the game was made in 1991 because it looks incredible.
Really?
Yeah, it's very much like Konami's take on R-Type. The way it plays. The thing was, it had the unfortunate timing of coming out right as the Street Fighter 2 boom was picking up, which like Street Fighter 2 at the time, just the same way it kind of happened here, it just demolished everything else in the Japanese arcades at the time. So even though like ZX was Konami's like going to be like its big holy grail shooter, it kind of ended up flopping. So as a result, it never got ported for a long time. It just kind of ended up being forgotten. until Maine brought it up, and then on the Salamander PSP collection, they stuck it on there.
I feel like the quiz here is going to be just about Konami games. Is it? Maybe.
It's probably about this game in particular. I can't remember for sure.
I have to answer somebody in the chat. Clono78. Yes, I have played Nier Automata, but not nearly as much as I should.
We neither of us have bought it yet, but we really want it.
Yeah, it's like I bought like all the major games that have come out, but like I've only futz around. Like I was able to play for some Persona this week, but like I just got sick like earlier this week and just like I don't know. When I was younger, if I would get sick, I'd just be sick for a day. But now, it's just like knock the shit out.
Answering these questions before the questions even typed out.
Because they're cheaters.
Is it impossible to win?
Oh, I have no idea.
Or do you just have to hit the button like right away and guess?
Oh, see, he got it wrong. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong stream. But yeah, I mean, I have Yakuza 0, I picked up Zelda, Nier, and Persona, and I played a bunch of Persona this week at least.
I just have to focus so hard on this episode. I'm madder than heck that I haven't played that yet, but I've got it. But I'm like, as soon as this episode is done, like I am just hitting that hard. Like I'm just going to binge on that for days on end. I can't wait. But Zelda, like me and Coury, like we kind of had, I think, a unique experience with Zelda because
it's so cool.
like because when we went to LA to do this documentary that we can't talk about yet, and this was just a few days really after the Switch launch, and so here we are, like unexpectedly having this chance to test the travel potential of the Switch, and we ended up with more free time, I think, in LA than we intended to originally. And so we're just like sitting in the hotel room, just like, oh man, I found this thing here. And like, it doesn't feel like we're talking about spoilers because it's so open-ended and so non-linear.
Yeah.
We're just kind of sharing information. It really felt like playing an NES game in so many ways, I think, because of that. Like I didn't feel like, how do
I get out of this? Can I leave this?
With most other games, like when you discover things, that it's kind of locked behind story progression and stuff, and so you can't really talk about it with other people without spoiling things. But with Breath of the Wild, I mean, just so it was a really cool experience to just like have that system in your hands with someone else in the same room playing the same game and just talking about it. So I mean, and so after the trip, both of us finished it pretty quick. I mean, we just, and in the span of like, what would you say, like 2 weeks, we put like 60 to 70 hours into it.
Somehow. But I mean, it was just great because we could talk about it as say, hey, I found this. Oh, where on your map is it? It was kind of is a good way to kind of harken back to the original in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It kind of felt, it was like a hint of talking about games on the playground again,
Yeah. Come on, just end it. End this.
But I could have easily put in, twice as much time into it. I mean, I felt satisfied with the amount of stuff I did. Like I didn't really leave anything major that I really wanted to do that I didn't do when I beat the game. But I could have put in twice as much time. But the fact of the matter is, we're I had to say enough is enough. I'm going to beat the game. Or else,
you just play it forever.
There would never be any more episodes of my life in gaming ever again.
He's this Konami lady.
Oh yeah, there's the giant CRT.
Yep.
It's 16 by 9.
Oh, it's the future.
Isn't that like the coolest CRT?
It's pretty cool. Oh, this is. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a good, kind of like a little bonus.
I wonder, like, how...
I'm so bad at Gradius, though.
Like, how they made this run, because it's like still, like, within the Mystical Ninja engine, you know? Like, it's... Like, you still see the game frame around it.
Yeah, I mean, they probably would just be able to copy-paste some code from Gradius 3.
Yeah.
Because I'll have the graphics here, just take it from the arcade game.
Yeah.
Do you get anything if you beat the level? You win, like, money or anything?
Probably money, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, for some reason I want to say it's totally pointless, but it's cool.
Yeah. Because it's just so impressive that they would have something like this, especially in a Super Nintendo game.
I can't remember if there were any cameos and random houses in this game, but I'm pretty sure it was like maybe going on 2 or 4 on Super Famicom. I forget. It had like some of them had like a lot of cameos. Like I know like Belmont is
yeah. This is the second one. They definitely have Simon Belmont and Sparkster Rocket
yeah.
Knight, which was interesting because I think by the time that had come out, he might have only been a Genesis game.
Really?
Well, he started off in the Genesis because he was supposed to be a Sonic type character.
Right. Yeah, I guess. I don't really know the timeline of when Sparkster and Goemon 2 came out. That would be interesting, though. I mean, of course, it's Konami. Like, you know, who cares? I mean, it's not like it's Sega's character, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, for that matter, they put Cloud and Smash Brothers as DLC, and you know, as far as Nintendo stuff he's been in, you can say like what Theater Rhythm.
Yeah.
Maybe it.
So which one of these things restore health or take a hit from me?
None, but pizza will restore health, and straw sandals make you walk faster, and you can stack them too.
What about the clock?
Oh, that just restores your time.
Oh. I mean, the pizza, will it restore my health after I lose all my life?
I think so, yeah.
I'm gonna get 2 of those then.
Yeah, like whenever I play, I usually like build up gold and then pick up some what do you call it, like armor. And I think you do it without having to go in the. Or do you have to go into the pause menu to do it?
I can't choose anything.
Clonella 7H in the chat is asking Kurt if you are planning to do an article on Suda 51 games.
We have some of them. There's actually that's done and should be posted sometime this month. What else was there?
I mean, with Silver Case coming out on PS4, I guess it makes sense.
That game is like I picked up the limited run game Silver Case, and like I tried the game, and it is just weird. It's like the way it's written is very strange. But yeah, that's coming up. I want to try to get the same author to do one for Flower, which has been available in English for a long time, but I think it's just one of those games that just puzzled everybody.
What was that?
Flower, Sun, and Rain.
What kind of game is that? I've heard the name, but I never really looked into it.
It's a Suda 51 game. That's the best way. It's kind of like a trippy adventure puzzle game. But
so early on, I guess he did a lot of adventure games.
Oh yeah, the first game he did, Twilight Syndrome, I think, is like a horror game. Like have you played Danganronpa 2?
Yeah.
Okay, you know that one chapter where you're playing with like the different high school students arcade game? I think is the second chapter.
Playing the arcade games?
It's placed in like an arcade cap. And but yeah, that is based off of the Twilight Syndrome or Moonlight Syndrome.
Interesting. Yeah, but, I wouldn't have really thought of Suda as starting off with that kind of game. I have not played a ton of his games.
But yeah, he started out with those, and in that sense, it kind of makes sense. Killer 7 was so restrictive because when that game came out, everybody was really angry that like you couldn't actually walk around.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like in truth, I don't think I've actually played all the way through any of his games. I've, like experimented with Killer 7, and I think I've played a little No More Heroes. But yeah,
a lot of times he
lot.
doesn't direct them when he a lot of times it's like attributed to him, but he doesn't. Direct
Oh really?
Them. Yeah,
really?
The last he did was No More Heroes, I think.
Yeah.
But he definitely attaches his name to them, like stuff like Shadows of the Damned and Lollipop Chainsaw,
which I thought was
they're Grasshopper Sector. Yeah, they kind of became like his brand.
Yeah, right. I think I did know that he didn't direct those.
So I mean, I felt like it was just like an idea he wrote down on a napkin one day, and then yeah.
Is that so? There's a cutscene. Is that the end of the level again?
Yeah, the third level in this game does not have any side-scrolling stuff.
Interesting. How many levels are in the game? 8?
Maybe.
Oh yeah, to the guy that's about the HG101 article, I'm eventually gonna get together to do a Falcom book because I love Falcom.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, Coury would be first in line for that.
Yeah.
There's because a lot of it has to do is just fleshing out some of the other series, which I've been doing the past couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like the older JRPG series, and the one that I was always missing was this one game called Lord Monarch, which is very unusual because it's a real-time strategy game. But yeah.
So, when did you start the site?
2003-ish.
Wow.
It was like right after I had graduated from college, and I moved back to my parents' house, and I was like, I was working retail at Borders. I'm like, this is terrible. I need something to make my life less awful. So,
wow. So a long time though. I mean,
yeah. As I had sort of like snuck it underneath because at the time the Castlevania Dungeon was hosted, and I sort of snuck it under a subdirectory there. And it's come a long way since then.
For sure, yeah.
Is it crazy to think that you've been doing it for 14 years?
I guess so. I mean, I started the Castlevania Dungeon in '97, so that would be more than half my life at this point. But yeah, Lord Monarch was on the Super Famicom, but that's kind of the weakest port of the game, I think. The thing about Lord Monarch, though, is that they're different, like, skins. Like, the default skin is, like, a standard medieval type characters, but you can change it to, like, what do you call it, Sengoku, Japanese era, or, like, I think there's fairies. You can change it to, like, a fast food world. It's very strange.
This overhead level is a little bit easier than the other ones, it feels like. Okay.
I've tried to do research and never fully came up with an understanding of what the historical origins is of the Ebisumaru style thief mask, and you see other characters like this in here, and I've seen it in things beyond just Goemon where you've got that weird mask that like goes under the nose. Like, where does that come from?
I'm not sure either. I just think it was a thief, stereotypical thief thing, but I wonder where it originated from too.
It's a very particular style of mask. It's just so weird. I think I've never played it, and I heard it was really awful, but there was a Wario game on the DS, I think, and I want to say that he might wear a mask like that.
Oh yeah, Kaito or the Wario made in Master Disguise or something like that.
Yeah. My memory of artwork of that game is he wears a mask like that in one of his disguises and that. I've never played that. That's one of those games that I would like to try sometime because it's just like, could it really be as bad as people say it is? I don't know.
How bad could it be?
Could it be?
That's one of our favorite
Someone
things.
in chat says it's a bandit mask from the Edo period, which would definitely make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to see like some historical artwork from that period, like just to get an idea.
A real person.
Yeah, like I can't. Another thing that I've struggled to research that much is this game has those floating umbrellas with one eyeball on it. Kirby has that too. And I think I found out like the category of creature that falls under, but it still didn't clarify for me what was the deal with this very specific thing of an umbrella with an eyeball.
Oh yeah, that's a type of yokai. They're in these in the first level of this game. You fight those little enemies. Yeah. It's just like a demon.
I mean, it's such a very specific thing. Like I know it's like a type of yokai, but like
where did it come from?
I just want to know more about it, because anytime I see something so weirdly specific that appears in more than one game series, it's like, okay, this is a thing, I guess.
The Kasobake.
Kasobake? That's the
Kasa means umbrella and Obake means demon or monster, I should say.
Someone in the chat say, doesn't Pocky and Rocky have one-eyed umbrellas? I can't remember.
Yeah, they do too. Yeah, yokai. Oh, well, that's a Wikipedia article about it. But yeah, somebody asks if I could speak Japanese. Terribly. I can't speak it much at all. I only really know video game Japanese, which is like
that's all you need.
Well enough
really.
to like get through menus and like parse stuff, dialogue to figure, where do I need to go? I need to do this. Mm-hmm. A lot of other stuff is just like research that I do through the help of Google Translate. Like I know enough of it, so if I stick something in Google Translate, like sort of figure out what is correct and what needs a little bit more research. Because the vocabulary often isn't correct, especially when it comes to like foreign names, anything in katakana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine video game terms don't translate super well.
No. Although some people like Google Translate the it suggests different things, but sometimes it doesn't work in its favor. Like if you put in the katakana for Famicom, it'll translate it to NES, which is really annoying because it's not actually what it says.
Yeah.
But I mean, it like changes. So
I get why they think that was clever, but no, that's confusing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it still does that. I know it used to.
I mean, granted, it would. To us, it sounds confusing, but to the average person, like they would be like, "What's a Famicom?" You need to explain. Well, it's the Japanese NES.
Oh yeah, I haven't updated the Castlevania dungeon in a long time. I should at least update it with the fact that I put a book out, but I just don't have time to go back and fix it up. I'm pretty much stacked nowadays, keeping HardcoreGaming101 updated.
You just released another Sega Arcade Classics book, didn't you?
Yep, that was at the end of December, along with the shoot 'em up book on the same day.
Oh wow.
The reason I suggested this is because I'm doing another Konami book, which is going to feature the Goemon article along with the Contra article that I've been working on and off for like 5 years.
Mm.
Didn't you when you did the Castlevania book, didn't you have an issue with Konami like kind of restricting you from selling it for a minute?
Well, I had it out for like a month or so, and then I got an email from somebody in their licensing department that was like, this book is unlicensed, removed from sale immediately. So I took it off and I explained to him, like, look, this is totally legitimate. Like, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm familiar enough with like fair use and what it means,
mm-hmm.
And how it's used. And I was like, this is totally legit. It's not infringing on anything. I sent him copies of the PDFs. I was like, if you want to discuss how we can make this legitimate, I'd be happy to. The guy never responded to me. I even called him up a bunch of times, left a bunch of messages. And after about a month of just like being annoyed and demoralized at this thing I had worked on for such a long time, I had to take off sale. I put a little sticker on it that said unofficial, not authorized. I changed the description a little bit that said it was unofficial, not authorized, and just put it back for sale. And then they never contacted me again. Like there is a lot of like sketchy stuff, especially on the Kindle. Like if you go in there's like weird Super Mario fan fiction and all sorts of stuff that is like definitely infringing. Like there's a lot of that sort of stuff on the Amazon Marketplace. So maybe he saw that and thought that it was a case like that.
So you said you put a sticker on it? Where you put
Yeah, like the original run of the books didn't have the unofficial and unauthorized thing on the cover.
So is you think is it worth more money?
Probably. Yeah.
They have the version
probably
without
not.
it?
But, I mean, it's a bragging right, I guess. I don't even have a correct one of it.
But I remember when that happened. Because I bought the Sega Arcade Classics was your first one, and then that was the second one. Really good book.
That took a long time to put together.
Sometimes I just have to wonder, like, what it's like to be an employee of Konami and like know that like your job is to do nothing but like just bully how people use their content, and they aren't even using their own intellectual property. They're just protecting it, I guess, if you want to say protect, but they're just not letting anyone do anything with it, but they aren't doing anything with it themselves. It's just so
it's definitely
weird.
very puzzling. Like I know of the way that they at the time to work their email addresses was weird. Like, you know how you normally work for a company, you get an email address that's just like your name at company.com.
Yeah.
Well, like they have like a weird generated hash or something like that. It would like change every couple months. And I don't know why that they would do something like that.
What is up with it? Like it must be the absolute most miserable place to work. It really has to be.
That's what I've kind of heard.
I mean,
everyone's just depressed now.
Yeah. Like it's really, really bizarre. Like there's just no reason that what happened, you know?
I think it may not have been an edict. It was just like this guy saw it and then just gave up.
This is a really
which
cool
is good because this is where they show off some of the neat.
Yeah, but I mean, like this, like everything up to this point has been like pretty normal, and then now all of a sudden they like put this like really like cool twist on it. That's like, something that I feel kind of taps into, like it's more of like a 16-bit level, you know?
Right.
Like this isn't really something you would have likely seen on the NES. I mean, Konami did pull off some cool stuff on the NES, but not quite like this.
Yeah, this is the Mystical Ninja's equivalent of the this is the Clockwork Mansion from Castlevania 4.
Oh yeah.
There's even a similar, like, back in Castlevania 4, like the fact that you could walk back and forth between the grates. And the fences.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing. Shinobi did something similar too.
Oh, yep. In was it Shadow Dancer? No, you're talking about Revenge of Shinobi, like at the with the in the junkyard.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was just Shadow Dancer that did something like that.
I mean, I still think, Wario Land on Virtual Boy is cool with going into the background.
This level's quite a bit longer.
Yeah, this one's kind of tough.
Yeah, a lot of the levels in Goemon's Great Adventure are kind of like the last level in each world is kind of like a longer sort of palace type thing, and they get brutal and like really long too.
I'm so afraid that did I just like start the level over, or is it just is repeating?
Oh, I think there's a different door you have to go through, I think.
Oh, okay. So I must have gone the wrong direction.
Because, yeah, like you go through the once and then you go through this section that's upside down. Yeah, I didn't know that you could do that. Like, you just get chucked back to the beginning of the level.
I like how he kind of squints his eyes and is really focused when he crawls. Okay, so we're gonna do this again with the spinning. I was just kind of lost. So Kurt, you do live stream as well for Hardcore Gaming 101. That's the 47 top or the top 47,000 games or whatever.
Yeah, that's the crew that they take care of the live streaming stuff.
I see. So what is the significance of that name? Is that how many games there actually are in the world? Or is that just like a guess?
No, it's just an arbitrary number.
So I guess I don't go through this door, right?
Maybe you go to the left?
Yeah, try go to the left.
Ah!
You should be able to jump on those platforms over there.
Right, that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Except for I know. What? What? Come on. How did I do it so right? And only to mess it up. Whoops. So how many people do you actually have like writing for the site now? Like there's
a handful of regulars. And then a lot of it's just anybody that wants to write something that'll contribute something.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that you took like contributions like that.
Oh yeah. I get a lot of interesting stuff I've never heard of before too.
Man, come on. And you do a bit on a YouTube channel as well. Like you had like some interviews and some like Japanese developer tours and stuff like that, or like arcade tours and stuff.
There's a guy that used to write for the site. He did a Kickstarter for the Untold History of Japanese Game Developers.
Yeah.
And
a friend of mine was just talking about that book and saying about it. That's just absolutely amazing.
He's working on the 3rd volume, which is going to be out sometime. But when he went there, he brought a camera with him and just took some various footage. And originally, as a backer bonus, he gave out DVDs. But then after those have been distributed, everybody was asking him, like, are you going to make any more? And it's just too much of a pain to do. So he just let me upload them all on the YouTube channel. So they're available for free for everybody.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. Yeah, my friend Joey's was just telling me about that book and just talking about how it's just got so many crazy stories in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat stories in this background. I mean, a lot of it is really obscure stuff too. Like I've been meaning to just go back and try to cover some of the the companies that I had never heard of before.
I'm just jumping through this real quick. I hope this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Or I'm just getting really lucky.
I think you're almost at the end.
There we go. I got all my power back at least.
There you go. Yeah, this is another boss that's like a Castlevania 4 boss.
What do I got to do?
I can't remember. Try hitting the ball? Oh no.
Is
I
it
hit
the
their head.
face in the middle?
No, it's just their head. Come on. Did I do it? He's charged. For a second, I thought he was going to charge at me and I have to jump over him. But no more hits left. Oh, come on.
Yeah, see? And then every time you hit it, it just gets bigger and bigger.
Does it really?
Yep. Like scaling. Look at what we could do.
Yep. I'm just going to throw my money at it. It makes it a lot easier. I got enough money.
Yeah.
Yeah, use it.
Come on.
Oh, he's doing some tricky stuff now.
Yeah. Come on. I'm kind of safe in the corner here. At least until...
That's what you think.
Yeah, he's almost dead.
Oh. I think I got really, really lucky there.
Oh, yeah, see, there's Yai.
I'm Ninja Woman.
I am Ninja Woman, Yai.
Okay, so she's like a character in following games.
She's like starting 2 games after this one, she became like a staple playable character, but she has green hair like from then on.
Yeah.
Did they ever explain in the story why she has green hair?
I think she has green hair starting in Goemon 2, I think, actually. The Super Famicom 2. Maybe? Yeah. I think. But she's not like the next like the characters like Ebisu Maru basically has always looked like himself, but Goemon's like style changed a bit. Like the game after this, the second game on Super Famicom, is kind of what established the look of all of the characters that stayed pretty much with the series from then on. I mean, there were some minor things, like at some point in the PlayStation generation, like Yai started wearing like a skirt instead of pants, and then there's also like the super anime spin-off on PlayStation and GBA,
which is a bad idea.
It's such a bad idea in a way, but like I feel like in retrospect, it's just such like an oddball thing to look back on. It's just like I'm kind of excited to play it. Like I said, I have all of the PlayStation one, so I'm just like it's so weird looking, but like I'm looking forward to playing it because it seems like just a straightforward platformer, which seems like fun to me.
Yeah, it's not an awful game. It's just like such a weird reinvention, which kind of makes sense. I mean, they had made so many different games, using like a specific style that to change it up isn't a bad idea, but just the way that they changed it up was.
Yeah, and then the other just sort of straightforward platformer, you know, kind of just like pre-rendered graphics, but it plays the feel of the controls and everything is like very similar to 2 on Super Famicom. Which I think that might be the PlayStation one I'm looking forward to playing the most. Like it seems pretty basic, but it just seems fun.
Yeah. The third Super Famicom, third PlayStation game is sort of like that, but it's kind of lazy because all the music was taken straight from
Great Adventure, right?
Yeah. The thing is though, and I haven't updated the site article because I read about it more recently, is that it's kind of a collection of bosses from previous Goemon games.
Ah, okay.
So later in the game, you get to fight like General McGinnis from the second Super Famicom game,
okay.
And whatever the guy was in the fourth one, like Harakiri Seppuku Maru, I think his name was.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like they were intentionally going with like this rehash theme.
Yeah,
like, the villain, like the king of recycling or something like that.
It starts off with like they're going to recycle some stuff, so it's kind of tongue in cheek in that respect.
Like I wonder like if like the developers were like kind of under bad circumstances when that game was made, like maybe they didn't give them enough like budget or time or something, and so they're just like, well, okay, we're just going to make this whole game a joke about recycling.
It might be. I mean, it uses the same engine as the fourth one, the stupid cartoon one. Like it's the same sort of thing, and it does kind of feel slapped together. Like Konami had a tendency to do that, like Harmony and Dissonance for the Game Boy Advance. I always felt like kind of it was the team learning how to program for the system, and then like Area of Sorrow was like the actual one that they wanted to make.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Circle of the Moon was great, but I think they realized that they like kind of needed to rethink how to build Castlevania on the Game Boy. Like for one, it was really criticized of being too dark. Circle of the Moon was, and so
they went with a very different. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But they definitely did.
They're like way overcompensated for it with Harmony of Dissonance, and it's like I really like Harmony of Dissonance, but like Aria of Sorrow is definitely like the main event. But I like the idea of the overlapping castles. Like I felt like that was a fun gimmick. Also, you're doing like exactly what I did. I remember grinding on these things for so long.
Somebody asked if there's an anime. There's like 2 animes. There's some sort of OVA which I've never seen, but somebody else wrote about for the site. And then there was also a TV series that actually was brought out in America.
Really?
And you might still be able to get the DVDs. I think ADV Films did them. I don't remember it being particularly great, but it's just a novelty behind it.
Yeah, there's I discovered some Goemon soundtracks on Amazon Japan not long ago. I'm like, ooh, which games are these from? And like one or two of them was like the soundtrack to the pachinko game.
Oh man, like I used to in New York City. There's a book off, and when I was in college, like 15 years ago, I would go there like every couple weeks, and it used to be like a treasure haven for video game soundtracks, and they were all really cheap. Like so at the time I got the soundtrack to Nintendo 64 game for about $7.
I've got that one.
And then I looked around later, like about 5 years ago or so, and it's like was going for several $100s. I'm like, it's just irresponsible for me to keep this.
Really? That one is worth that much?
The Goemon soundtrack CDs are really expensive on the Japanese market.
You're kidding.
He's going to get it.
I just want to see if this is the one.
If it is the one, are you willing to part for
That's the one.
This one?
If you could find it, yeah, you could probably. I sold it for about $300 years ago.
You have got to be kidding me.
I'm not kidding.
Awesome when that happens.
I don't want to sell it, but like it's got like this artwork.
But you're not opposed to selling it.
Yep.
It's got like this artwork of like they've got like a CG Goemon like hiding inside crowds and stuff.
Let me see. I'll dig up a link to like Amazon Japan. It sort of gives you an idea about how pricey these are.
Really? I can't believe it. Now I don't have like I didn't save until more recently the the spine card thing.
The Obi strip.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't really have any interest in those, but
See, okay, that one, the cheapest copy is 125,895 yen.
Wow.
Which translates to what in US?
Well, if I think correctly, like $1,000.
What?
Like,
no,
Wait.
Come on. If it's $1,000, there's no way the Try is not selling that.
yeah, like I mean, I remember even when I was.
If it was $1,000, Try and you hang on to it.
It takes some thinking, but it would, like you said, it would. That kind of reaches the point of like, it's irresponsible for me to keep this.
Let me double check. Like, obviously, trying to find a buyer for that amount of money you would never find it.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, I just happened upon a collector in Australia, and I gave it to him. Yeah, it's about a little over $1,000.
What? This? You've
Yeah.
got to be kidding me.
I'm not kidding. Here, let me. Where should I paste this link for you?
Just paste it in Skype chat. I mean, it's in good shape. There's no
I bought that
on the case.
I bought that for like $7 back in the early 2000s, and then sold it again. Let's see what the other ones are here. The one for the Super Nintendo game is $29,000. It's about $300. I remember the one for Goemon's Great Adventure, wherever it is. That one was really expensive, also. Like those N64 games.
I think they just released a.
Well, that one doesn't even have any listings.
I think didn't they just release like a new like Goemon compilation? Like a multi-disc compilation or something, but I couldn't figure out how to order it because I don't think it was on Amazon Japan. It was on some other site, and I couldn't tell if I was like able to like order for shipping to America or not.
Is that like Project Egg? Maybe they do a lot of old soundtrack re-releases.
So 125,895 yen.
Some people are saying it's like only $130.
No, I mean that translates to $1,129 US.
Dude,
yeah,
you sell it and get your Rondo. with that. Even wanting. And whatever super high price game or system or whatever.
Yeah,
or put it towards your TV. The 4K TV you want. Can I make this jump? There we
go. That just seems too surreal. How could that be worth that much money?
The collector's market for CDs, like most CDs aren't worth nearly that amount of money. But for some reason, like there must be like they must have got a really low print run, and the amount of Mystical Ninja Japanese fans are extremely loaded. So
that is bizarre.
I mean, we could get a better idea about how much they actually sell for, like on.
You should do it.
Any auctions
and
on
buy
Yahoo.
me Snatcher. And you still have half of it left over.
You know what I really wish that I'd gotten while I could was the Kirby's Return to Dreamland soundtrack. That kills me that I didn't know that was available via Club Nintendo Japan. And so now I'm like obsessed with like making sure I get like every Kirby soundtrack that comes out in Japan, because Nintendo went through this phase where they really weren't releasing CDs anymore, and now they're kind of back into it. Like there was a Planet Robobot soundtrack, and then they didn't make as far as I know, they never made like a Twilight Princess soundtrack, but then they made a Twilight Princess HD soundtrack. It's like 3 discs.
Those are those old Nintendo soundtracks that they put out in the mid-90s are also really expensive.
Oh yeah.
I used to have Star Fox 64, but I sold it way back when. Now
is that just the one that was included as it's like in a sleeve?
No, this one was a full Japanese release.
I see.
Yeah. A friend of mine got that the full soundtrack, and I've got this bootleg that, back when it was like, whoa, I know this guy that's got a CD burning machine. That was like a big deal back then. And his friend burned me a bootleg of his Star Fox soundtrack. But the real Star Fox soundtrack I have is just like the sampler that you could get at like EB or whatever.
Yeah, I still have that one. And I ended up picking up the Star Fox 3D soundtrack, the Club Nintendo one, because it's slightly better quality.
Actually, probably my biggest soundtrack
This guy
regret
is in the later games too, isn't he?
Yeah, this is Sasuke.
Yep.
Or it might just be a generic version of him, but yeah. He's just kind of unnamed at this point. But I think maybe my number one greatest soundtrack regret is that I never got the Donkey Kong Country Trilogy CD that you could get from Nintendo Power.
Oh, those are worth so much money now.
I know. I don't know how much they're worth, but I know it's out of my price range, but I really want them.
Yeah, a couple years ago, on a whim, I just set my eBay alerts for Donkey Kong Country 2 soundtrack, and every time it's like $300. Nope, I'm not going to that.
Yeah,
I've got even more.
I mean, I've got the CD for Donkey Kong Country 3, which I mean is a fine soundtrack and all, but pales in comparison to 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Can you see how long this game is? I'm doing pretty good, I feel like.
I have the game facts open. Let's see how many stages there's a bunch.
I mean, I'm almost. This is 6 that I'm going to now.
9 levels.
Oh, that's not too bad. I'm not gonna beat it tonight, obviously, but I mean, I think that I could come back to it and beat it maybe soon.
6 Tengu. Yeah, this is the level I gave up on last time I played it. This is also the only level where you need to get a pass before they let you to the side-scrolling section.
I'll keep that in mind. I need to build up some money again. If you just really like load up on, is that the pass right there? Yeah, it's right there. $980.
Yeah, you got to grind up for it.
Well, Luckily, the enemies aren't too hard. Try $1,000. I'm sorry. I'm in just complete amazement right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll post it on the YouTube chat with the link to the a Yahoo auction that was also.
Well, try. I'll have to do it because it doesn't. Like it's set to only mods.
Wait, what did did you drop the chat there or drop the link in the Skype?
Yeah, I mean it's the same price.
Was it what actually sold for?
No, it's still listed. I don't know how to check completed auctions.
Oh, that one's got scratch up. Mine don't have a scratch.
Yeah.
The $1,000 one does?
It's like 130,000 yen.
Let's see if I could paste it into the chat.
No. Yeah, I'll
remove any web addresses I try again. Oh.
I can paste it.
There you go.
I have a crown next to my name. I'm the king. Yahoo auctions, is that that's like bigger than eBay in Japan, right?
Yeah,
significantly
they just were the ones that they just got to the market first.
That is insane. I mean, it's a phenomenal soundtrack. I mean, just unbelievably good soundtrack. But the thing that's disappointing about it is that I want to say the tracks loop they only play through once.
Oh,
yeah, because it's only one CD and there's a lot of music.
It's like 44 tracks or something.
I wonder if there's a way to check for
sold listings.
There is like a historical. There's a site called Aucfan, which does historical listings. I wonder if that has it.
Did you check American eBay?
Oh, I'm not even gonna bother. I mean, granted, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even bringing anything up.
It's such an obscure release that you would never be able to.
See, I never even thought it was that obscure. I was just looking. Yep. I mean, that was around the time that I was getting into importing CDs, and I was just like, man, that game has fantastic music, and there it is. I'm going to buy that.
It's not like an ever anime version or anything, is it?
No, I mean it looks exactly like the release.
Can you look up to see how much because the one I have that's probably worth money is my Eternal Arcadia soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
It's the official one. I think I paid $120 for it when it came out. Like it was like that price to import. Like.
Oh yeah, here's an auction that finished off for 126,000 yen. I'll paste that too.
Wait, for 126 for which one?
For the Nintendo 64 one.
Okay.
Oh, for Goemon.
I got excited for Eternal Arcadia.
No, Eternal Arcadia isn't. I'll check up that in a second. Let me paste that in the Skype, and then you can do what you will.
Try it. I can't. You got to do it.
Well,
But I mean, it's difficult for overseas sellers. Like you'd need to find like a middle person.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
They're not as Japanese marketplace tend to be very closed. They're not very foreigner friendly.
This one is sold at 126,000 yen.
Yep. That one had 13 bids.
Now, but do we have proof that he was actually paid?
That's a good question. He only had one thing. Who knows?
I never would have dreamed that.
I mean, it's just a CD. I mean.
It's one.
I sold a record, and like shipping a record was difficult because it's so much bigger and there's so many things you got to consider. But I mean, for a CD, that's nothing.
Yeah,
that's easy to ship. I gotta find some food here.
I really can't believe it's worth that kind of money. But I've wanted for a while to do an episode about soundtracks. Like because I would guess that not that many people are actually insane enough that they like to own real CDs anymore.
I still am. Okay, Eternals Arcadia, even though it never got like a regular commercial release, I think it was only like a limited through Sega. It's about 10,000 yen, which is a little under $100.
So it's actually less expensive now than when I bought it. It's worth less. Dang.
Maybe. I think I paid a lot for it because I need to go through a middle person. Like, we didn't stock it at CD Japan or any place that normally would had sold it.
But I kind of want to do an episode sometime that's just looking at CD soundtrack sets. Because there's a lot of artwork and stuff in it that you don't see anywhere else, so it might just be a fun thing to look through sometime. So I definitely would not sell it before then, but like you say, like selling to Japan, that could be a little tricky.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. Coury, don't you have, or isn't this worth some money? Or didn't you used to have the Kefka's Domain version of the Final Fantasy VI soundtrack?
Yeah, and I have the Secret of Mana one as well, the US through SquareSoft.
Oh, okay. I've got a what I'm pretty sure is an authentic Secret of Mana. It was relatively recent, but I'm pretty sure it was an official Square Enix printing. I've got a few bootlegs. Like, I didn't know what I was getting into, at the time.
Oh yeah, that's the same with everybody. This cursed ever animes.
Yeah.
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 I've got May, right?
Like off the top of my head, like my Final Fantasy 7 and 8 are not authentic. Soul Calibur 2 and Suikoden 3, I'm pretty sure are not authentic. And my Skies of Arcadia, I'm pretty sure is not.
Yeah, I don't think your Skies is because we talked about it.
I wish I could remember where I bought those, but all that was like back in college when I got most of those. So
yeah, for a while, like the vendors at anime conventions, they didn't really care if they sold legitimate or not. So you need to be aware. And unfortunately, like legitimate CD releases were usually like $30, and then the ever anime ones would be like $10. So of course, they gave an incentive for everybody to sell and buy the $10 CDs.
Yeah.
But eventually places outlawed that sort of stuff, which was definitely good.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm afraid of, like, I'm so close to dying. And I'm trying to keep myself alive so that I don't have to do it all again. Because I'm sure the
last CD...
The past doesn't carry over, does it? Sorry.
If you die?
Or if you
have to
continue.
I think you lose it. Yeah, now you know why I quit in this level when I died. I did the boss. No, the last CD. Have you ever played the game Gotta Protectors for the 3DS?
Mm-mm.
It's like a sequel to an XB LIG game called Protect Me Knight, and it's kind of like this tower defense game that's done like an 8-bit game, but it was done by Ancient, which is like Yuzo Koshiro's mom's company.
I didn't realize they were still doing stuff.
Yeah, and but like the soundtrack to the game, like the music itself is pretty good, but there's a DLC pack you can get, which they kind of change the music to like in the style of different arcade games, because it's the music is done by different famous video game music composers. So other than Yuzo Koshiro, there's Shinji Hosoe and oh god, what's the guy? OGR from Zuntata. And even one of the Konami guys, I'm blanking on his name, but he did a lot of stuff. But so it turns the music into something that sounds just like out of Gradius 2, or something that's just out of like Darius. It sounds really cool. So I bought the CD just for that.
So was Yuzo Koshiro's mom like in the game business, like when he got into the game business, or is that something she did more recently?
I think so. I need to double check that, because I know like his whole family is involved in it.
Really? I had no idea. That's so interesting.
Yeah, like his sister does stuff.
That's so interesting. He was at MagFest. I think it was the first year that we went.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the year I went. I think it's when I met Coury.
Yeah, in the arcade.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
I can see.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of
the company.
Like we've known each other like a little while actually, when you think about it. Even though we don't talk that often, but we ran into each other at MagFest and Too Many Games.
And that was before we started the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we had Framemeisters.
According to Wikipedia, Ancient was founded in 1990. Company is founded by his mother, Tomo Koshiro, while his sister, Ayano Koshiro, also works at the company as a character and graphic designer.
Interesting.
But yeah, he's been part of the.
I had no idea the Koshiro family was like completely into games. That's so cool.
Like he'd been doing, he got his start with the Falcom game Xanadu. Like he just took some of his music and then he sent it to Falcom, and they're like, we want to use your music in a game. So on the Xanadu expansion disc, they just took his music, and he was consistently employed with Falcom for various stuff. And then he got around to Sega and all sorts of those other places.
I learned last week that apparently he did the soundtrack for the Master System version of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yep.
Well, that's because it was designed. The game was programmed by Ancient.
Ah, okay.
That's like the best thing about that version, I think, too.
Yeah. It was. I mean, like they had the Zone 1 music or whatever, but then like all the,
then it becomes its own game after that.
Yeah, and then the music is pretty good.
Yeah.
Has its own flavor.
That game is really expensive.
Really?
Yeah.
Like all versions in all regions, or?
No, the European one isn't. But the Master System, the US version. Okay, this is a weird story, and I think I get this right. It's exactly the same as the European release, but there's a special sticker above the UPC code. That sticker is like the difference between a $5 game and a $1,000 game. Because it's just like solely for collectors. Because I have the European one, like it's exactly the same,
and it runs in 60 hertz if you play it on a US system, right?
Yeah, almost all Master System games were made for 60 hertz. Like even some of the ones that were Euro specific, they were programmed in mind for 50 hertz, so they'll run a little bit fast if you play them on an American system.
Like Ninja Gaiden, right?
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden and Power Strike. They're a little bit too fast, but they're still playable. But since Sonic the Hedgehog, a lot of those were direct conversions of Game Gear games, they didn't bother to reprogram them to run at the correct frequency.
Man, I have one more hit left. Oh, there's armor right there. That's what I want. How much is the armor? 200. I just gotta.
Man, I wonder if I could have any other valuable soundtrack.
Now you're like,
I mean, what about the earlier prints of Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger and stuff like that. I mean, I've got those.
Those aren't anything by Square, except
those had to have had a bunch of prints. So
yeah.
The only thing that was the soundtrack to Live Alive, for whatever reason, became really rare for a while, but it got so rare that eventually they did a reprint.
That's interesting. Wasn't that the first soundtrack that Yoko Shimomura did for Square?
I don't know if it was the first, but it's definitely one of them.
If you choose from logbook entry, do you have to put in the password every time?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to do that.
Oh, wait, is that true? Wait.
I don't know.
Oh.
I gotta do it again.
Oh no.
This sucks.
Oh.
I thought you need to put the password in.
But maybe I would keep it.
Yeah, maybe I was mistaken about that, because I remember having to re-input passwords.
Should I see? I mean, might as well kill myself.
Yeah, maybe next time if you die.
Yeah, I'm just gonna kill myself off and see if it happens. I mean, it's almost 11 o'clock anyways. So
yeah,
I'm not beating the game tonight, so.
No.
Man, this stream went really quick.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, but you still I start with no lives. You start with the same amount of lives.
That's the cruel kind of password. The password that remembers too much.
Yep. Didn't Bloodlines does that, right?
Yeah, Castlevania Bloodlines.
Yeah.
But you know what? Whatever. It saves some time.
Oh yeah, and you still have yeah, okay.
I can get all my health back. That's what I didn't do when I had all that pizza. Let's see. Troy, is that you?
What?
Is that you drinking?
I was just drinking water.
I feel like the microphone is like inside your throat when it's happening. It's so audible. Let's see. I just want to get my health back. And now that I have enough money to buy the pass again. I mean, that saves me time. I just gotta... Maybe I can save some more money and get some armor. So it only saves your diary if you hit yes for that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess if it gives you a password, it sort of makes a snapshot.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I think I have to fix that.
Yeah, I mean that's makes it a little bit more convenient.
Yeah.
You just kind of hang out by the door. You know. Farm enough money to get enough lives. Just max out your lives, maybe.
I'm fascinated by the chat's reaction to me drinking water. Should I drink some more water? I don't understand how that sounds so loud. I mean, I'm just drinking water out of a regular bottle.
There it is.
Why is that so audible?
I don't know. It's like we're right up in there.
It must be the way that you've got the sound balance, because I usually have some water next to me every stream.
I don't know.
There's somebody that says, go to that guy when your timer's last digit is a 5. Which guy, though?
What guy?
Mm-hmm.
The diary guy? I don't know.
What does it do?
I don't know. Something fun.
Let's find out. I'm okay with that. The timer moves slow enough that you could do it too. Is it the diary person? Because I think it's a woman.
I don't know. It's just so maybe somebody in the chat can arrive at the 5 guy.
Yeah, who do I go to? Arrive at 5 guy. Who? Who?
Was there an NPC that actually said something like that?
No, somebody in the chat.
Oh, is there somebody? Okay, maybe there is a person that is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my diary entry. So there's
next to the travel agent. He says, "Why don't you keep a diary of your travels?"
Okay. Here we go. Here we go.
You did it.
When did you arrive? At 5? Ha ha ha. That was a good one. Is that it? Is it the first digit? No, it's the last digit.
An NPC asked, "Would you arrive at 5?" Oh, that. Yeah. I thought that was a dumb pun. That just didn't get translated.
Oh, so it's just a joke.
You didn't get anything. You're all hyped up. You were going to get like,
2 lives. I was hoping for.
Did you get anything fun, or is it just trolling you?
No, it's nothing. It's just it's a joke.
Oh,
what a joke!
I'm sure that was much funnier in Japanese.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have a ton of money now, at least. I'm gonna buy that armor. Can I like stock up the armor? Can I buy multiple pieces of armor?
Yeah, it stacks up. I mean, there's an upper limit, but you can definitely buy several armors and several shoes and stuff too. Like I don't know, have you gotten the shoes yet? Because I
have a pair of shoes. Yes.
Oh, you can buy more, and you just walk around in these areas much faster.
Right.
Lone Star in the chat is saying that GameTech.us has a sale on Ultra HDMI for N64.
Yep, they're gonna be. He's taking pre-orders for it, I think.
Oh man,
a lot of people are asking about it.
I would jump on it, but it's like my favorite mod. Like I can't recommend it enough, but I also acknowledge it's probably not for everyone either.
No.
But I really like it.
As evidenced by the 500 plus dislikes on the N64 anti-aliasing hack video. It blows my mind. Come on.
Yeah, but I think, people are also like confused by like what we're positing in that video. Like I'm saying deblur is good. I acknowledge not everyone's going to agree with that. I think deblur is good, but anti-aliasing removal, no, I don't really think that's good, but it's interesting. It was something that we had to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Apparently he's got 150 left, which actually kind of sounds like a lot for something kind of obscure like a mod.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if obscure, niche maybe, but yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, with the N64 episode, there was actually the N64 hack episode. It's actually interesting. The N64 hack episode like kind of came back, like because the VHS tapes episode did so well that I think that since like that was the other video that YouTube kind of like naturally spiked through the algorithms. I think for some reason that one kind of had a resurgence because of VHS's popularity, and
that's so interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But there was a recent comment on that video that was like it said like, why do I have a feeling they're making it look blurrier than it really was?
Which, they were faking
which is like, and then I'm like, well, actually, considering we were comparing RGB to HDMI with anti-aliasing removed, that RGB is less blurry technically than you could actually get out of an unmodified N64. So it was actually less blurry than it really was.
Oh, well. I mean, what did somebody say about us the other day? Said that we just copy all the info from RetroRGB.com, and it's like their 60-year-old father trying to explain video quality but using nothing but Google.
Yeah, well, I didn't even see that comment because I saw you post that in a Skype chat, but I never saw that. Did they delete it? I couldn't see that comment. I couldn't find it.
All right, where am I going here? Where am I taking the pass now that I have the pass?
I can't remember.
Where haven't you been?
I think I could beat this game. Not tonight, but like this week, I think I can beat it.
Sure.
Yeah, I think this is something I maybe have talked to you about before, but I think that we have at least adults tend to have this idea that they were like so much better at games when they were kids, and they're not good at games anymore. But like as time has gone on, like since starting the channel, I feel like I'm so much better at games than I was, like even as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think. I mean, I don't think I'm like great at games now, but I'm persistent. You know, I you know,
Right.
if you bang your head against it for long enough, you'll beat it.
Yeah.
But like I was, like I kind of, you know, got out of NES for a while, and then, you know, sometime in like, you know, late 90s, I was like, hey, you know what, there's a lot of good stuff on NES I missed. And so then I like got back into NES, but I was actually kind of afraid of most of the games that I bought. And even though I thought they were really cool, I didn't beat all that many of them. Like I beat like you know, the Mega Man games and stuff, but you know, a lot of the games that were new to me, I didn't beat until, you know, the past, since after finishing college, to be honest. You know, in the past 10, 11 years has been when I beat a good chunk of my NES games. And it's just because I think I learned to be more persistent rather than got better. But in some ways, I guess I got better. But I don't know. I mean, I definitely do not consider myself good at games.
Mm-hmm.
I think I used to, though, when I was a kid, though, because I didn't know that many people who played games, so I was better than almost all of them at games, except for my few friends who were really into games.
Oh, this one scrolls the other way.
Oh,
there you
yeah.
go.
This one I think gets a little tricky.
Let's see how it goes.
I remember, though, like when I first got the Super Nintendo, like I didn't play a lot of games with save features back in the NES days. And so I remember almost being a little disappointed when I started playing the Super Nintendo. I'm like, man, I'm beating my games in like a week.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it used to take me so much longer. And of course, nowadays, like if I'm popping in like just a random platform where I'm like, if I don't beat this tonight, then it's going to take too long. You know, it's kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier in the chat, like, what was it you were saying about, you know, gaining this mindset of something?
This isn't the boss level already, I'm sure, right?
Oh no,
I don't think so. This is like a mid boss.
Okay. Just spam my money. I feel like that's the way to do like some of this stuff.
Yeah, it really is much easier.
But I think there was like an expectation back in the day where it's like, well, this game's going to take me a really long time to beat anyway. But then it's like now, like you pop in an old game and you're like, this is going to be pretty short, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and you don't really take the time to get to know it as well as
I see.
you used to, maybe, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, back then, like if you beat a game like in a rental, then there's no point in buying it.
Right. that was how Goemon on N64 was for me. It was like one of the few games that like I rented and I beat it, but then I liked it so much that like eventually I did buy it. But that was honestly one of the reasons I stopped renting games, because I kept beating all these games that I was like, man, I really liked that, but now it feels like a waste of money.
Yeah.
You guys see that? Watch it on the stream. It's like I go to the next screen, there's an enemy right there. Like it attacks me like the second that the screen pops up. I'm done. But I will get the logbook entry so that I can come back again.
Oh, do you still have the pass?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I can go right back to it, but I'm gonna get my.
So you can go back. You can go back to straight to the level anytime, though.
Right. I just need to maybe grind to get like an extra life or something. I'm gonna get my. I'm gonna Gaiazo that password and save it.
Man, how did we do passwords before we had technology?
Oh, I had so many pieces of paper that just, I'd write down something wrong and then just be a disaster. I think the first game I ever got that used them was, I think, Golvelius for the Master System.
Great game, too.
And these are even worse because of like all the uppercase and lowercase and symbols and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like I during the NES era, I like somehow pretty much avoided games with passwords and saves. Like my cousin had some, but I was like not really too into those games. Like I was more into like really like, quick to the action sorts of games like Mario and stuff. And it was like the first game that I personally owned that had a save feature was Super Mario Land 2. And it was like such a weird concept to me. Like, what? Save your file? I don't understand.
Yeah, I think the first one I got was probably like Final Fantasy or one of those Nintendo games.
Yeah, I wasn't into RPGs quite yet, but I've gone back and played a lot of NES games with saves and passwords, but back then I wasn't really into that stuff.
Yeah. Well,
that was fun.
That was a lot of fun. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna try and finish that like this week. I feel like I can do it. I made it pretty far.
Yeah, I mean, if you just put a little time into it, I mean,
I always say that after finishing like a big game. I say, I just want to beat some smaller games, but it's always like smaller games on new systems that I always find myself going back to or starting up. So maybe I just need to play some Super NES and Genesis games that I haven't beaten yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I just need to do more of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kind of made me want to play this one again.
So, Try, when do you anticipate switchers?
Let me do a little desktop share to show you all the situation.
All right. Make sure there's nothing on there that we don't need to see.
What's that supposed to be?
I don't know.
Okay, can you see that?
No, not yet. Oh, no, it's not gonna work. Hang on, it
No?
does not. It does not take the place of your thing, of your window. It doesn't work.
Oh, can you do something?
I mean, I can try. Let me see.
Yeah, it's not popping up in the stream, but I can see it on Skype.
Right. It's not gonna let me do it. I have no idea how to do it. I don't want to crash anything.
Okay. Well, I mean,
let me see if I can do this. No, maybe. Is it gonna fit? Nope. It's not gonna let me do it. I can just. I'm trying to fit it up there. But it's not gonna happen.
oh, it's okay.
It's not gonna let me do it. It's. You can see the top of it. I can see your viewing monitor. If you want to do that.
Oh, okay. Can you see?
We can't see your timeline, but I can see a portion of your playback monitor.
Oh. Well, spoilers. This game is in that episode.
If anybody can guess what that is from that little. Let's see. Maybe I can move it over a little bit. Hang on. There we go. That's the best I can do. That's how you know. That's how you know it's an RGB episode.
It's an RGB episode. Well, we've snuck it into other episodes.
I know, but
that's kind of cheating.
I'm surprised nobody has like made a list of all the different pop-ups of Wonder Boy and Monster World yet, or Monster Land. Monster World is the Genesis one. I always
actually have I have in here somewhere.
Is it a Karnov?
No, I don't have. I can't get Karnov unless you get me Karnov.
I'll get you Karnov. We need to know what we're gonna use.
Let's see. Where is? Check that out. I was able to get there in one click. I looked at my timeline. I'm like, I bet that's it.
Yeah, there it is.
I've got full on comparison right here.
Oh, nice.
But you can't see what they are.
Nope.
You can't see what they are.
What are they?
It's a secret. It's a secret. You'll have to watch the episode to find out what the comparisons are. But yeah. So it's approximately halfway edited, but the majority of what I've done is like the toughest stuff. I need to finish up a small section in the middle here, but like the middle, I've edited this video very differently from how I normally do. Like normally I go pretty linearly. I pace out my audio and then I go to the beginning to the end for the most part. I might do something in the middle here and there, but for the most part I go pretty well on the line. And this episode I kind of started in the middle and I've kind of built it out from the middle. Kind of getting the tough stuff out of the way first, and then I've got like one more section that I expect to be fairly involved, and then everything else should be easy-ish. I saw you say, I think it was on Twitter, that there will be an episode midweek. I think midweek sounds extraordinarily optimistic.
Yeah, but I mean, it's.
Yeah,
I didn't know at the time but I mean, I think it's going to happen.
My dream is for Thursday, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah, that's almost midweek.
Yeah, I mean, I really want this to be done because, like I say, I am so freaking mad that I'm not playing Persona 5 right now.
Yeah.
But I can't. I mean, I gotta focus. I just gotta focus. It's taking some work. It's for people who came into the stream late. Here is the mess that this episode is creating.
We kind of talked that like having everything out of sorts, it like really stresses me out.
Yeah, and it never really has me that much in particular, but now I kind of get where you're coming from. It's just like, it's unpleasant. I don't like it. I don't like all these wires being out. All these systems not being where they should be. Switching between all these switchers. I mean, the irony of this episode is I'm making an episode about streamlining your setup so that you can just play all of your systems without unplugging any wires and swapping anything. And the irony is, to create that episode, I have to do this.
You have to become that.
I have to go to the depths and then reemerge with the perfect setup. Yeah, it's not a great process. This is definitely an episode that we're making because we love you guys. I won't deny this is not the most fun episode in the world to create, but there are some fun things I've done in the episode. I think there's some fun little bits that are maybe
try to put a little comedy in there that's not specifically. Comedy, just like lets you have a little sensible chuckle.
Yeah, that's like, a sensible chuckle.
Yeah. Just like, oh.
Yeah. So, I've got some work left to do on it for sure. But I'm just going to persevere and do what I can, and hope that the last bits fall in place somewhat easily. It's about it's a little over 28 and a half minutes. I'm so thankful it's under 30. I was very much afraid of it being over 30.
Man.
I don't know overall which is going to have been the tougher episode to make, this or the Framemeister alternatives.
2 episodes. This will be during the other episode that you never want to think about again.
Yeah, that episode is just like, I was so glad just to be over that. The crazy thing is, I think, is grueling. I don't know if grueling is the word, but it was a marathon making the Game Boy episode. Like, it was just took for freaking ever, but like, I also felt like engaged in the whole process of making that. Like, it was simultaneously one of the most difficult episodes to make, and also, like, in a way, one of the most fun. Like, it was like, I felt like I was making something special. It kept me motivated. Yeah, but this, like I say, I'm doing some fun things in this. Like, it's not completely a miserable time, other than the fact that I'm not playing Persona 5.
Kurt, you're playing Persona, or did you just get it and you just haven't started it yet?
No, I've been playing it on and off this week.
I don't want to hear anything. No, Persona 5
okay.
Talking here.
If we say anything too much, then Atlas will find out and shut this stream down retroactively.
Yeah, that's true. That's crazy. That is a crazy thing that they're doing with the streaming. And I guess I heard that Puyo Puyo Tetris is going to have the same restriction.
Really?
Which makes no sense.
In Japan, so it's
That's Puyo. Is it Sega?
Yeah, it's Sega also. It's really dumb.
Yeah, I saw someone that we know on Twitter who used to work at a publisher say that Japanese developers like don't get the whole streaming and sharing thing, and they don't understand how important that is to a Western audience, and they're paranoid about losing the rights to their stuff, and they just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's weird that they're so crazy about it, but to some extent I can understand them not wanting to spoil the end of the game for people,
right?
But it's going to get out there one way or another, and
I mean, you can
it should be up to the person who is playing the game
anyway. Yeah,
to try to avoid it. I mean, I've been very lucky. I don't want to jinx myself, but I mean, I haven't even had like a lot of games. I made it all the way through Final Fantasy 15 without having anything spoiled for me. Made it all the way through Zelda without having anything spoiled. Not that, even though we just talked about spoilers earlier, but I like to figure out things on my own or like with another person, like.
Right. Well, you didn't have like story spoiled for you.
Right. Like I haven't had. I don't want to say it because I don't want people to be like, oh, this is it, and be like, now you have. I'm not gonna say what else that I haven't played yet. That hasn't been spoiled for me.
All right. Well,
Kurt, do you have anything coming up that you would like to share with the you're working on another book?
Yeah, that's going to be a Konami one. That's it's going to have Contra on the cover, and it's also going to feature all the Mystical Ninja article in there, and a whole bunch of other Konami stuff, as much as I could fit in. Most of
you
their
just announced
Nintendo
that recently,
stuff.
Didn't you just announce it last week, or where you showed the cover? I remember seeing it on Twitter, I think.
No, the cover's not done yet.
Okay.
So,
what did I see it then? Maybe I saw.
I don't know.
I saw something recent with they had Contra
on it. Maybe.
Somewhere.
I don't know if he's sent out any sketches or anything, but yeah, that's gonna be coming out. I want to get it done for Too Many Games. I'm not sure if it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's asking for a compile book, which I've already did all the shoot 'em ups for all compile stuff. I do kind of want to do one that focuses on like strictly mid 80s or 80s Japanese companies,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of compile stuff would fit in there, but that's not on the horizon at the moment.
Yeah. What is the dream project that you would have?
The Falcom to do with Ease and the rest of Falcom stuff,
yeah.
and also Shin Megami Tensei. are those. Those are both that I'm slowly working on bit by bit, and I'll finish someday.
Mm-hmm.
I see Wes DeSantis is in the chat, who is the host of Second Opinion Games podcast, and I just want to let him know that he should keep an eye out in our next episode for the Second Opinion Games podcast T-shirt to make.
You mean the one that I'm wearing right now?
The one you're wearing right? Well, no, not the one you're wearing right now, but the one I was wearing at the time. I was shooting some B-roll of some G-SCARTs, and he should keep an eye out for a reflection of the Second Opinion Games podcast and the glossy top of a G-SCART. So somewhere in this episode.
Okay, sorry to derail. So you have that. So Falcom is like the book that you wish, like that's like your dream project. That and Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah, like I already got like any of the Konami stuff. Those are always my big ones. Otherwise, I just kind of get like I go into different phases of different stuff that I like. So like the Castlevania one was originally going to be the first one I did after the adventure game book, but just like at the time I was just fascinated with replaying some of the late 80s Sega stuff, so that's why that one ended up coming out first. So anything with Konami.
And you usually add like a ton of stuff to these books. I mean, some of them, like early on at least, they were, kind of updated and elaborated upon versions of the articles from the website.
Yeah, sometimes they still are, but it's like the shoot 'em up book. One of the first articles we actually ever did was for compile shoot 'em ups, but that was, I think we might have even removed it from the site, but it is just like woefully incomplete because at the time, like we didn't really have, like the Japanese internet wasn't as expansive, so there wasn't as much place to research. There weren't any emulators for like the PC 98 system, which there is now, so we had missed some stuff. So the one that's in the book is just like had to be completely redone from scratch.
Yeah.
Which took several months, but it was worth it because the compile shooter ups were just really, really, really cool.
Do you play a lot of stuff on emulators, or do you try to go real hardware as much as you can?
I do emulators just because for taking screenshot purposes.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean like I have like most of the systems and any of the games that I really like I own. But emulators are just more convenient. It's also because like especially for Nintendo games, I'll play them on my PSP for commute, and so I could get some other work done. Like right now, we're working on a complete encyclopedia of the Famicom disk system, just because it's like a topic that isn't really explored very much.
Right.
So I have my PSP loaded up with like every Famicom disk system game slowly, working way through it. Even though most of the games on that platform are terrible.
Try wants to do an episode on the about Konami games on the Famicom disk system.
Yeah, anything that was good on the system were either done by Nintendo or Konami, and there's a couple of other decent games on the system. Otherwise, it's kind of a repository for shovelware. Like the platform became outdated very quickly, so that's one of the reasons why it never came out here.
Yeah, but I feel like it's relatively safe to do an episode about Konami games on the Famicom disk system and not.
Get claimed. They're pretty crazy about like if like cutscenes, like we've gotten our streams flagged because of playing cutscenes.
There's some chance this stream could get flagged.
I don't know about this one,
but
maybe who knows?
Little cutscenes. I mean,
That's
you never
true.
know. But...
What was somebody asked? What was really strange odd fact you came across in research for your book? Oh God. I don't want to say because I don't want to get his name wrong, but there's I need to look it up.
So is this pretty recent? This happened?
Yeah, it was. I was interviewing some guy, and he let me know something.
I'm all interested in what it's going to be.
I just want to make sure it's okay. I don't remember his name. I'm trying to dig it up, but he's one of the programmers for the Ease games.
Oh.
And and he was also one of the founding members of Quintet.
Mm-hmm.
But he's apparently in jail.
That sucks.
Yeah, like I'm not sure entirely what it's for, but it's probably for some sort of white collar crime. No, I interviewed somebody else. It was just like he had just mentioned it offhand because I was tweeting about him. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, that dude was arrested a long time ago. I figured it was something
crazy,
shifty that had happened after Quintet kind of went under,
or became Shade or whatever it was for like a minute. Was it Shade that did Grand Stream Saga?
Grand Stream Saga, yeah.
Which I did not know was part of that series until it's
kind of like
HardcoreGaming101.
Quasi. There's another game that's kind of sort of related for the Saturn, I think, but it was more just like world building. I can't remember the name of it.
Do you have you ever interviewed someone like Japanese developers for your stuff?
Every once in a while. I interviewed the guy who made the Wonder Boy games.
Let's talk about that after the chat, because let's just talk about it after the stream. Just
we love Wonder Boy games.
Yeah.
Oh, me too. And the new one is coming out. Well, not the new one, but the remake is coming out in like a week or two.
Yeah, and Monster Boy should be pretty soon here too.
Yeah,
but I mean, I've kind of wondered. Like, I hear that it's hard to get access to Japanese developers, but I kind of wonder if that's more like they just don't want to talk about new stuff. But if you just talk to like someone about old stuff they made a long time ago, like I wonder if it's like not that big of a deal to them. I don't know.
It depends, because the guy who made most Wonder Boy games, Ryuichi Nishizawa, he owned his own company, Westone. So he doesn't, if there's somebody who owns their own company or isn't currently employed by one of the big companies, they love to talk about all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's somebody that was still employed there, they're generally much more closed off. And since some of these people have been like at this company for life, you'll never get anything from them. They can't say anything on the record because it's very controlled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
all right. Is that about wrap it up?
That's going to wrap it up for this week.
All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Kurt, thank you so much for joining us. I know we had been talking about it for a while. I think the last time I talked to you about it was like in July or something like that.
Yeah, it was at Too Many Games, I think.
We talked about Too Many Games, and then we messaged about it like briefly in July, because I think you were traveling for 4th of July.
And I think at the time I was like, it has to be after Game of Thrones season. So
yeah, that's right, because that's about when we had Clint LGR on, and he's like, make sure it's after Game of Thrones is over.
If anyone's wondering what Kurt looks like, watch the Limited Run documentary. He's one of the people that we interviewed in the beginning of that episode.
Yeah, you say that digital downloads are very ethereal. They're very fleeting.
Yeah. I finally got some Limited Run games now too. I just got my Asta Breed in earlier.
Oh yeah. I think that's pretty awesome. I was pretty excited to play it. Like, I hadn't played it digitally at all, and it's pretty cool. It's really hard to tell what's going on a lot of times.
I played it on the PC, and it was pretty impressive. I heard that they added some stuff to the PS4 version.
Yeah, it has a whole new control scheme, like a new mode. It has a totally different control scheme. It's pretty cool, but it's very easy to get lost in the chaos.
Yeah, it seemed like that.
Yeah. All right, is that gonna do it?
I guess so.
All right, but thanks again, Kurt, and we'll see.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We will see everybody next week.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.